Hello everybody, this is Survive and welcome to the Cobra Central Toy Review. And today so we'll be looking at the 2011 release by Hasbro of the G.I. Joe Pursuit of Cobra action figure review. And today's action figure review looking at the Wave 5 of the Jungle Assault Jungle B.A.T, the Cobra Android Trooper. Now I got this straight from eBay by buying a whole set of Wave 5 figures, and each one of the figures cost me 55 ringgit, which is a bit more pricier compared to the retail pricing of 39 ringgit and 90 cents. Not much of a choice because Hasbro Malaysia didn't brought in any of the Wave 5 figures to Malaysia at all, so I have to resort on getting this straight from eBay. Now let's take a look at the front part packaging itself. Especially on one corner side here, we got a nice little artwork of the Jungle B.A.T, which is the battle damage. Now the artwork for the body itself is very nicely done, but the artwork for the face, especially on the battle damage side there, especially where the exposed camera eyes is shown, it's not really well done. It looks kind of simplistic. Now inside the plastic bubble we got the Jungle B.A.T figure, and he's laden with a lot of accessories surrounding him. He's wielding the machete on his hand. Next to him is the AK-47 rifle. At the back here we got a belt for ammo. On one side here you got the claw. Next to the claw is the battle damage hit. And then we have the minigun behind. A backpack full of additional weapon hands. And at the bottom here we have the backpack for the minigun itself. Behind the figure we have the base stand, and underneath the base stand is a small little catalog all folded up to showcase Wave 1 and Wave 2 figures. Not too sure why they're still doing that, considering this is already Wave 5. At the back portion of the packaging, at the top corner here, you got a small little write-up on what's G.I. Joe really about and who they are up against, which is Cobra. This time the mission is Jungle Assault. We got a nice little image of the Jungle Assault diorama. However, the image is a bit more, well, bigger, because you get to see a bit more on this section here. Not too sure why they do that. You have a nice little image that shows the very dirty, very muddy of the Pursuit of Cobra van. I'm not too sure which figure is this one. There's also the Jungle Assault Duke from Wave 1 and Recondo on this section, which is a bit covered by this section here. In the background, we have a few Cobra operatives. One of them would be the Jungle Viper in this section here. There's a few more here and here as well. The bottom section of the back of the packaging, we have a profile card. You got a nicer image of the Jungle B.A.T. Here stated Jungle B.A.T Cobra Android Trooper, primary weapon, micro barrel Gatling cannon, combat gear. Now this is quite interesting. I'm not too sure why Hasbro insists on putting this section here. Stated damage alternate head, damage chest plate. Why would Hasbro want to put that in? It doesn't make sense. Why would a Jungle B.A.T or even Cobra wanted to give the Jungle B.A.T with, well, damage chest plate or give them a alternate, well, damage head? Doesn't make any sense at all. Now, continue on. It also has the heavy weapons backpack, ammunition chain, assault rifle, machete, case backpack. Now, at the bottom of the write-up stated B.A.Ts are the perfect Cobra troopers. They never question orders, complain about the child, shirk duty, or surrender. They require no leave time, sick pay, or benefits of any kind, and they are cheap and easy to replace. Jungle B.A.Ts are one of the robotic variants designed for specific environments. This version is extremely resistant to heat and humidity, and can easily find its way through thick jungle foliage. Very interesting. So, without further ado, let's open up this packaging and molest the figure. Be right back. And we're back after reviewing the figure, and there is the stuff out from the packaging itself. Let's take a look at the Jungle B.A.T's accessories, starting off with the base stand. Now, the Jungle B.A.T comes with a Cobra base stand that uses the 25th anniversary mold. You got a nice little Cobra logo on the top with two pegs for the figure to stand on. Nameplate there stated as Jungle B.A.T, and the back portion here stated as 2007 Hasbro made in China. Now the Jungle B.A.T comes with a lot of accessories. As you can see, they're laden with a lot of accessories. But the problem is, a lot of these accessories are not new at all. They are all from 25th anniversary line or Rise of Cobra. First, we'll take a look at the small little handgun, the Desert Eagle. Now the Desert Eagle here is all engraved plastic material, and the mold is from the 25th anniversary line. So there's nothing new there. There's a little bit of details for the Desert Eagle, but not a really nicely done gun. Especially there's no trigger being shown there. You got the trigger guard, but you don't have a trigger. And you can actually store the pistol onto the left side of the Jungle B.A.T's thigh, where there's a gun holster. Next we have a machete. The machete is, of course, nothing new here. Came a lot in the Rise of Cobra line, and the entire machete here is made with black plastic material with little amount of details. And the best part about the machete is that the figure can't even barely hold it. The moment you put the machete onto his hands, it's just gonna fall off. Then we have an assault rifle, which is an AK-47 with a different stock at the back. As you can see at the back portion of the stock itself, you have to be careful with the back portion of the stock because it's quite fragile and easily breakable. Now the entire thing is nothing new. It's an old mold from the 25th anniversary line itself, but the entire thing is made of a black plastic material. I really wish they paint the accessories, but you get what you get. Now the details are actually quite nice. You got the stock at the back, you got the handle, you got a small little trigger guard, the magazine, the barrel with the sight on top here, at the end of the barrel itself. Very nicely done. However, the Jungle B.A.T can't wield it on the right hand, can only wield it on the left hand, barely. Then we have a belt full of ammunition here. As you can see, the entire thing is made of a green plastic material, and all the ammunition has been painted in gold and silver individually. Very nicely done. Now when you wanted to, well, remove it out from the figure, all you have to do is just remove the figure's head to pry this out. But the problem is, when you have this belt worn onto the figure, it looks a little bit awkward, which I'm going to show in the end. Now we're going to take a look at the Jungle B.A.T's hands. They are all made with the same material and painted in the same style of colors, as in it's a bit rusted, a little bit weathered. Here we have the flamethrower attachment, which is very nice in the mold itself, especially on the tubing here that's light up the fire, and in the barrel is this section where it blows off the fuel to create the flamethrower. Very nice, a lot of nice details. This is the hole itself where you pluck out the figure's arm, the hand itself, and plug this in. Very nice. Or you can plug it at the back portion of the backpack. Then we have the laser arm attachment. Very simplistic, very nicely done. I really like this barrel for the laser gun itself. It looks very sci-fi. And then we have the claw attachment. The claw here is actually articulated, it goes up and down. You have to be careful with the pegs for the end section of the claw, because if you bend it, you might end up breaking it. So you have to be extra careful here, because that's the most fragile part for the claw. Very nicely done with the paint job. Very nicely done with the details, especially on the pistons. Very nice. Now, let us take a look at the alternate head. Now the alternative head is actually made of a black plastic material. As you can see there, the entire thing is made of black plastic material. The visor is painted in silver, and the damaged part is actually painted a little bit of red and brown and black to make it look like it's been rusted, which is very nicely done. The details of the mold is actually quite nicely done, especially on the cracks on the visor, the exposed wiring, the exposed eye, and of course this section here where there's an exposed hole there. Very nice. Also, don't forget the back portion as well. Very nice. Then we have a belt feet here. The entire belt here is actually painted in gold and silver. Very nice. This attaches the minigun itself and the backpack portion. Then we have the minigun. Now the minigun is nothing new here. It's actually from the Rise of Cobra, from heavy duty, and the entire thing is not made, well, very sturdy. First things first, there's no paint job at all. It's just pure plastic color of, well, of gray with a little bit of beige colors into it, a little bit of brown into it. As I mentioned before, the entire minigun is not really too sturdy on the handles itself, especially on this section. As you can see, is a bit softer in plastic, and so does this section as well. The rest of the body is quite sturdy except for the handles. Now the details is quite nice. You've got the minigun there, got the handle, got also the handle on this section here. Very nice. This is where you plug in the belt feet. Very nicely done, but nothing new with the minigun. Then we have the backpack, the Jungle B.A.T backpack, or the B.A.T's original backpack, which is, well, made of a pure grey plastic color. As you can see, no paint job at all. There's a peg there to connect to the back portion of the figure. There's a lot of technical details on this section. Very nice. The two pegs are meant to plug in with the weapons, and you can store the normal hand into this section here. Very nice. And finally, we have the minigun's ammo bag. Now this ammo bag is nothing new. It actually came from the Rise of Cobra, and it's quite solid material actually. There's a peg there that actually connects to the back portion of the figure. Now the funny thing about this is that the moment you plug it at the back portion of the figure, the peg is way too long. As you can see, this is, I already pushed it all the way in already, and it leaves this much of a gap onto the figure. So I'm not too sure why Hasbro didn't even notice this. Now there's not a lot of details for the entire ammo bag there, but this bottom section of the side here, so that's on the other side, is where you clip on the belt feet. And there you have it with all the accessories. There's also a bit more, but it's onto the figure itself. So let's take a look at the figure. Now, first things first, let's take a look at the belt. Now, you can actually detach the belt by pulling off this section here and on the side here, because the belt is removable, as you can see. It's made of a black plastic material with very little amount of paint job involved, because the only paint job involved for the belt itself is the belt buckle. And then the other part would be the chest piece here. This actually can be removed. All you have to do is slowly pry out the peg, because it's supported by two pegs. As you can see, this is the chest piece here, the glass piece here. As you can see, the mold is actually quite nicely done with the damage itself, all the cracks there. Very nice. There's also two pegs from this section and this section to connect these two green holes there. Very nice. And putting it back on is also quite easy as well. Now let's take a look at the figure's, well, paint job. Now, majority of the figure's parts is actually made of green plastic material. Yes, including the head and the arms. They're all made of a green plastic material. The only thing that is not made of a green plastic material, not counting the side holster here, or this piece here, the boots, the bottom section of the boots are made of a black plastic material. The rest are all in green, and except for the chest piece, of course. Now let's take a look at the paint job. Now you get to see the entire body here is actually painted in jungle camo, but I really wish that the side here is actually more painted with the jungle camo. You've got the small little Cobra logo on one side here, A lot of those technical parts is also painted, very nice. As I mentioned before, the head is made of a green plaster material. So they actually painted the whole entire head black with silver visor, and the sides is painted in silver. Very nice. The arms are very nicely painted with the very dirty mechanical arms. Very nice. Let's not forget the inside of the bat itself. As you can see, the parts are all painted. Very nice. Nicely done with the details. The legs are all painted in jungle camel. The straps are painted in black. Even the smaller box here is also, the mechanical device here is also painted. Very nice with all the metallic paint job. Bottom section of the shin here is also painted. So does the lower section of the boots, which is painted in black. Very nicely done with the paint job. And let's not forget the back portion of the body itself, where the mechanical part is also painted. Very nice. Now let's take a look at the figure's mold. Now the figure is, well, there's nothing new with the mold except for the chest piece here, which is all, well, riddled with bullet holes and cracks. But basically the entire figure mold is exactly the same as, well, the horror heroes or the single carded bats. Absolutely no changes at all. They are both the same thing. Basically what you're looking at is just a simple repaint with a little bit change on the chest piece here. So let's take a look at the figure's articulation. Since there's nothing to talk about with the mold itself, it's basically a repaint. Now the head here can pivot up and down very slightly, not much of a difference, but can go side to side a little bit and turn 360 degrees. Also can move forward a little bit, back, side to side, and turn 360 degrees. Shoulder joints here can turn 360 degrees and lift the shoulders all the way up. Elbow joint can bend this far or back and turn 360 degrees. Now the wrist joint is at this location because that's the whole point of the bat's gimmick, is you can interchange the hands. Then there's the peg there, you can see the green plaster material. So for the wrist joint is just below the elbow joint itself, so you can turn 360 degrees. I really wish they add additional joint for the wrist itself, like you can pivot up and down on one side and go inwards and outwards for the other. Well, it's just a simple repaint. So on the hips here, you can move forward, straight, cannot go backwards, and go to the sides a little bit because it's being hindered a lot by the tubings and the other stuff. Double jointed knee that bends this far, and ankle joint that pivots downwards, upwards, and turn 360 degrees. Now let's fully equip the Jungle Bat with all the accessories, starting off with the ammo belt. As I mentioned before, the moment you place the ammo belt onto the Jungle Bat itself, let's equip him with the battle damage hit. It will look a little bit awkward, as you can see there. Place the ammo belt, have the Jungle Bat equipped with the minigun, because that's the whole point of the Jungle Bat here. As I mentioned before, it's quite difficult to have the figure wield the accessory of the weapons itself, because especially on the right hand, it tends to be a bit too widened up with the grip. So you will have a bit of problem trying to have the figure wield anything at all, unless you want them to use the hand attachment weapons, which is much more better. See, his right hand barely able to hold it properly, which is a sad thing. But as long as the left hand can wield anything, that's still alright. Then place this. As you can see, it just pops off quite easily. I'm just going to attach the belt first and have the figure hold the minigun. As you can see, it's very stubbornly do not wish to hold the minigun properly. Because the handles are a bit too flimsy, but you get the point there. Overall, the figure is actually not bad. I just really wish that they redo the minigun itself because the handles is a bit too flimsy. Furthermore, the gripping of the hands itself is not really well done because it's too widened up. As you can see, barely even able to hold the minigun properly. There you go. Very nicely done. Another complaint of the accessory itself is that the back portion of the backpack, the pegs is way too long. Way too long. But then again, he's wearing the belt onto his shoulders, so if it's too short, you can't actually peg onto the backpack onto the figure itself. Then we place all the other weapons properly, and you end up having the rest of the stuff laying all over the place. And we have the pistol on one side here. So if I'm gonna give a rating for the Jungle B.A.T, it's actually not bad with all the awesome amount of accessories. But I really don't like the flimsy handles for the minigun and overtly too long peg for the backpack. The paint job is actually not bad, it's not that great either. So if I'm gonna give a rating out of this, I would say I'll give it a nice, well, 6 out of 10. Yes, 6 out of 10 for the Jungle B.A.T. And I thank you all for watching. This is Lucy05 and I'm signing off.